This is the lesson overview for Year 1, Lesson 3.1, which is about defining dilemmas. So the unit learning goal of this lesson is that students will learn about dilemmas, so what they are and how to navigate difficult dilemmas or situations. For this particular lesson, which is an introduction to the idea, students are just going to be able to define what a dilemma is and hopefully some of the elements that might lead to dilemmas. You'll see here in the front matter as well, we have the assessment recommendations for how you'll be able to tell whether students are achieving the lesson goal, the CASEL framework alignment around responsible decision making this time, and then the portfolio documentation and a resource that you'll need or recommended resource about what is an ethical dilemma. You don't have any prerequisites for this lesson, although it is helpful if you've done some of the previous lessons because some of the concepts that were covered, including here in the optional refresher, like alignment and misalignment or values or roles, identity, might be some of the elements that actually lead to dilemma situations and that students will be able to rely upon and talk about as they're analyzing dilemmas if they have some of that background knowledge. So the first part of this lesson is going to ask students to do a quick turn and talk about what they think a dilemma is and whether there are certain circumstances that are dilemmas or aren't. So just give them a couple seconds to talk about that together, maybe have a lively discussion about how to know what a dilemma is. You might want to check out, if you are a teacher who's new to dilemma discussions, a couple of these blogs here that I'm highlighting. They talk about how to lead dilemma discussions in the classroom. Second, you'll want to talk about what the elements of a dilemma are, or give a students a chance to explore that through this handout. So in the Is This a Dilemma handout, students are presented with a few different scenarios that become, they start simple, but they become increasingly more complex. And you'll give students a chance through those stories to be thinking about what's changing as the situations get more complex, what stays the same. Are these situations dilemmas? Yes and no. Or how do they evolve to become dilemmas as the story gets more complex, and why? So you can then debrief that. If you're a little short on time, it might make sense to cut out a little bit of that debrief so that students really get a chance to dig into those scenarios together. And then you want to definitely make time to go over what the definition of a dilemma is. So we adapted this definition that in a dilemma, an individual must make an active choice. There has to be different courses of actions. And then no matter what action is taken, something is sacrificed. So something about good work, usually excellence, ethics, or engagement, is going to be compromised, and there's no perfect solution. That's why a situation becomes a dilemma. So then you want to talk a little bit together about that dilemma definition. Is that what students came up with? Is that what they were thinking about as they read over those dilemmas in the worksheet? How are dilemmas connected to good work based on what's been discussed? And then the rest of the lesson is just the closing. So students reading over this quick dilemma and being able to respond to the question, is this a dilemma? Why or why not? Hopefully using some of the insights that they've developed through this lesson. A big thing about dilemmas that the Good Project likes to encourage educators to do is to adapt the dilemmas that you're talking about to what might be locally relevant to you and your students. So if you're looking for other dilemmas, if, for example, maybe this worksheet, when you look at it, is this a dilemma handout? Maybe it's not really that interesting to you, or you think it's not really going to hit very well with your students. You could borrow a dilemma from the news. You could look at the dilemmas in our dilemmas database. You could look on our YouTube page and see some of the animated ones we have. You could pick something that you've heard about from your own life and adapt that worksheet to be about something entirely different if you feel like that's going to be better to your students. So again, just a call back to localized adaptation, because we want these concepts to be really relevant to students' lives and hopefully to their futures. And as an educator with your students, you'll know best how to hopefully do that. Thank you.